Okay, back at this PowerPoint. I mentioned already and showed you on the overhead projector, the pages 48 through 54 in your book show all the different unique pieces that we can find. We talked about the special strokes on the letter G, beaks, barbs, and swashes. That's all the very stylized type. And I'll pop that on. Ugh. Swashes. So a lot of times when you're working with a font, if you go and look, especially well, in any of the Adobe software, if you go under character and look for glyphs, that's where you're going to find, if it comes with anything unique like this, like the letter A may look a certain way in the basic font set, but under glyphs, you might be able to find it stylized with swashes or different things like 1, 2 to 5 options. And that's the beauty of some font sets that you buy, is that they have a lot of different glyphs and unique swashes that can really stylize your type. The other thing that we talked about briefly was the angle of stress, and we're really going to look at that when we start looking at classifying type, what era it falls into, the oblique, very much an angle, or the very vertical up and down level of stress. So again, you can tell a lot by what era it's from based on these angles of stress. The other thing that helps identify is the X height, and we talked about that briefly, how some are exactly at the halfway point. Can't look up there and make my finger go in the right place. Some are exactly at the halfway point, some are taller X heights, and some are smaller. And there's one font family that they're known for having small X heights, so the lower part is very small compared to the ascenders. All right, so the consistency of stroke shapes is what makes the characters go together. When you make a font from scratch, the letters all A through Z have to look like they go together, not like they're a bunch of different letter sets. All right, measuring type. You've seen this slide before when we were talking about the history of how the measurements varied. The starting measurement in 1737 evolved about 50 years later based on the French foot, and then Britain adopted it based on their metric inch, and then we use our own US inch, and we've decided that 1 point is exactly 1/72 of an inch. So there are 72 points exactly in an inch in our measurement system. So I have a handout for you because type measurement is really important. You guys are all in InDesign right now, right? I assume. So considering how tall your type is, how much leading you have between it, is an important thing to get comfortable with. And for the most part, you're probably not super comfortable talking about measuring in picas and points. Picas we haven't even heard to talk about. We talk inches because we know our measuring system in inches. However, it gets hard to do a lot of things in inches, and there's a much easier measuring system. Plus, this is what they used in the letterpress days. And when we go to Hamilton, you're going to see them all having these little rulers in their little aprons. They measure everything. They know exactly how many points are picas and how big the leading should be. So based on what you have in front of you and what you see up here, an inch can be divided into 6 equal pieces called picas. So that's a measurement that we quite often use. So 1 inch is 6 picas. Each pica can be further chopped down to have 12 little pieces inside it. So 12 times 6, that's where we get the 72. So how we measure type in picas and points is like this. And you can do this in InDesign. Instead of typing in point size, you can type in picas and points and use the letter P. So 1 pica, how much is 1 pica in points? 1 pica is this many points, 12. And then 6 left over, like remainder 6, so 12 plus 6 is 12 plus 6, 18. That's 18 point type. So 1 pica, 6 points. 2 P0 means 2 full picas with no points left over. 2 full picas is 12, and 12 is 24. Okay? 3 P2 means 3 picas and 2 points extra. So 12, 12, 12, and 2 more. All right, so why do we do this? Seems horrible and confusing. It's old school. We don't like it. Oh, I don't get to that first. Let's practice. All right, and like I said, think of it as how many times can 12 go into the main number? So 72 point type, how many times can 12 go into that? 6 times, so that's 6. And then if there's leftover, that's remainder. So 18 point type can be represented as 1 pica, that's 12, with 6 left over, 6. Or you could actually say it, 0 picas, 18 points. Not sure why you would do that. What's 24 point type? How many full picas? How many times does 12 go into that? Twice. How many left over? So it's 2P2, or 2 picas 2. All right, why use them? So our standard piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. I want you to measure this into thirds exactly. What's 1/3 of 8.5 inches? Barf, right? Maybe get out your calculator. 1/3 is 2.83333333333. However, if we talk about it in picas, it's very simple. There's 6 picas per inch, so it equals 51 picas total, and that does divide by 3 exactly, 17. So if we had our rulers in InDesign set up to be picas or points, if it was picas, we could go over 17, drag out a rule. Go over another 17, drag out a rule, and we have perfect thirds. Much easier than 2.83333333333. How about halves? Oops, I was doing them opposite. No, that is the 1/3 up here. 11 inches. What's 1/3 of 11 inches? That's this dimension, actually. Again, that's a problem. But 11 inches, 6 picas per inch is 66. That's easy. Divided by 3s, it's 22. Also, if we cut it in half, it's easy. So, very, very simple when you use picas and points. Tabloid paper, 11 by 17 works perfectly as well. So, for an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, that is 51 this way by 66 this way. So if you wanted to cut it in half, you'd put a guide at 25.5 picas. You got a perfect half. You want to put it in thirds, you put them at 33s. Okay? All right, I have, for the first time ever, we bought pica rulers, brand spanking new. I don't have enough for everybody, but where you're close together, I'm going to give you one. You can open them up, get them out of their little plastic. They're brand spanking new. And I want you to take a look at all the different. Open them up. And look at the different measurements. You have inches, picas, points. And where are my glasses? There they are. So you can lay this over your sheet of paper. You can measure it in inches, as you can see. We have the picas down here, and we have the points way at the bottom. That's your point scale right here. And then also you see the capital letter E. So you could overlay that. If you had a capital letter E on your page, you could overlay it and try to guess. If you want to flip that sheet over, the ARC sheet that I gave you on the back, there's some type. So you can kind of start to guess, like, oh, I bet that Bauhaus right there looks like it's probably about maybe 42 point. bigger than 36 with the E overlays. They're also on the far edge this way. They have the hairline up to 1 point to 15 point lines. So if there's a bar that somebody wants put in there. So with your trusty ruler, I'll give you one more sheet. If you only have one ruler, you can work on this as a pair. First of all, before you use your ruler, I want you to look at these and guess what font size they are. So write your guess without measuring. I'll tell you that they are 12, 18, 24, or 36 points. So see if you can guess 12, 18, 24, 36. So don't measure them, but which one do you think is a 12-point type? Write that down.
Yeah.
Then from there, which ones do you think are 24s? And which ones do you think are 18, 24, and 36? So give it your best guess. Don't use the ruler. 18. There's 1 12, 2 18s, 2 24s, and 2 36s. So just visually guessing, see what you come up with based on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 24s?
Yep. Yep. When you guys printed out hand glovery all in 18-point type, did some of them look bigger than others?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're all different fonts.
Yeah, so the different fonts throw it off. So you can't. Yep. You're cheating. You're fake measuring. Come on. Just guess.
So, okay, now do we actually?
Yeah. Once you've guessed, go ahead and take out the ruler and use the points, which are down at the very end, the short end.
Yeah.
Measure them in points to see what they are in points, not picas.
Oh, okay.
So you lay it down on there.
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
And then there's something else we have to talk about. See where you're getting with your measurements.
That's okay.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So then, okay, 12 points is 1. 1 pick up.
You can measure them completely in points. So you can find out if they're 12, 18, 24, 36. You don't have to worry about the pica side. Go to the points. That's the end of the ruler, the short end.
Oh,
Huh? Yeah, you can try the letter E's too. Yep.
I was like, you can
I feel like that's more. I need to do that different. 6.
This is this one. Huh.
Here's the other thing that you have to keep in mind. We're measuring from the bottom of the descenders to the top of the ascenders. So that's different too. You're not just going, yeah.
So it's going from like the bottom of the wall.
The other thing that we have to talk about is the M, EM, and N, EN. So have you hit that yet in design? M dash and N dash? So you guys know what a hyphen looks like on your keyboard. It's just a little beep. But actually there's times in true typography and true design you don't just use that hyphen. You use a long one or a slightly shorter one. And they're called M dashes and N dashes, EM and EN. And they are basically the size, the M spacing, or the M dash is a long dash. It's a square equal to the height and width of the point size. So if you're working in 10-point type, it's a 10-point by 10-point square, which basically would fit the capital letter M if you think of it that way. Whereas the N space is half of that. So it'd be 5 points by 10 tall, and it would fit the letter N in it. Okay? So that's where that comes from. So there's times that you have to use that shorter dash, if you will, and times that you use the longer one. In InDesign, you're definitely going to learn about that, the rules for which one you use and when, and how you actually get that to show up. Have you ever been typing in these things where you hit hyphen hyphen and it turns into that long one for you? That's the M dash that's being generated for you. Okay, that is the end of chapter 2. So we got our basic anatomy and measurements. Everybody feel good about it, or at least good start? All right.